Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I am so happy to be here. If you are with me live, it is the 21st of July, and we are live. It's about 11 a.m. Pacific time, and here we are. I want to let you know we're over in the chat room, and you can find the chat by heading over to 12radio.com. That's number 2 radio.com. Click on the chat button and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. Easy enough to find. And my producer, Scott, is standing by and he will gladly let you in the room. I also want to let you know that I am live streaming this event. You can find it on my fan page over on Facebook, which is Katie Weaver, Domestic Mystic. And you can also find it in the Facebook group. I am sharing it there as we speak. So you can find it either way if you'd rather watch than listen. If you would rather watch later on, you'll also find it uploaded over on YouTube. That's Domestic Mystic on YouTube. So lots of ways, lots of places to connect. So I love it. And I hope you guys are having a good week. I've been bitching and moaning a lot about the heat, and I'm really ridiculous. So, we're pushing like high 80s with very little humidity because I live in an arid desert, and yet I just hate it. And I know you guys all have it a whole lot worse than I do. Many of you in high humidity areas and places where it's been truly like really hot. Pardon me, but it's apparently not going to slow down my complaining. So sorry, but sorry, not sorry. The pigs and the dogs are so lazy. The piggies go outside in the morning, they play for a little while, and then they're in for the rest of the day, hanging out, asking for snacks, stretching out, sleeping all over the place, because they're sick of it too. Everybody's sick of it. But like I said, we are really spoiled. We haven't even put an air conditioner in the window this year. It's not that bad, but whatever. It's whatever. Oh, you guys, I have so much to share with you. So, a couple of things to note. You probably know that 1 2 Radio has been broken for about the last, I don't know, 10 days or so, where you really could not, listen to a replay. You could only hear live shows. And Mark and Scott have worked really hard on getting it taken care of and getting our carrier to get it taken care of. And they did yesterday. So, hallelujah. It appears that radio is fixed. So, hopefully, you can listen anytime again, like it used to be, like it's supposed to be forever and ever. So, hopefully. We have something really, really exciting happening over at 1 2 Listen. I'm bursting to tell you about it. I asked Mark yesterday, is it too soon? And he said, nah, go ahead and spill it. So I hope that's what he meant because I'm doing it. Mark, I hope that's what you meant. I think you did. Okay. I've been asking for a while. Some of us have, and it's taken some time, but we're so excited because we are being gifted right now the capability to do video chat. Yeah. So that'll excite some of you. Some of you won't care. But as you know, I am a professional psychic advisor over at 12listen.com. Yeah, and I've been there for, oh my goodness, nearly 8 years. And I absolutely adore my job. It's more than I can ever tell you what it has brought to my life. I have wanted video. As you know, I do a lot of video, and I have wanted video chat. For energy work, for certain kinds of readings, I really want to look you guys in the eye, Now we can. So it hasn't rolled out yet. We're still in the beta. We're still testing it, but it's coming. And I don't have a date for when it's coming. We won't say we have a date because you know how that goes. But it's coming. It will be through the chat feature. So right now there's 2 different ways to contact us at 1 2 Listen. You can either call or you can chat. And when you chat, it's just like private messaging, right? You write to each other back and forth. That's how it works. Well, the way it's going to go right now is that when that happens, is that when you sign into chat, you can enable video chat. And if an advisor is signed into video chat, all you have to do is invite them to a video chat. And then they'll join the chat and you can see each other and chat. And how cool is that? The other cool feature is that you can shut off the camera. So say you want to see me, but you don't necessarily want me to see you. You can shut off your side of the camera so that you're just looking at me, but I'm not looking at you, which is great. Either way, I am so freaking excited. This is like Christmas. So I can't wait. I'll keep you guys in the loop. I will make sure that you know when it's coming. And for some of you, this is going to be awesome. For some of you, you don't care. You don't really need to see me or want me to see you. That's totally cool too. As always, there's no pressure. That's why we have so many different options, right? And different ways to connect. But this would be such a fun way if we're reading cards, or say, like in the fall when I do witches' runes, or if we're doing a little mentoring of some sort and you want me to show you something, we could do that. Say we want to do some singing bowl work together. Easy enough, right? Like there's just so many possibilities. So anyway, my heart is exploding. My wheels are turning. I just could not be more excited. So I will keep you in the loop, but it's coming. Yeah, pretty cool. So between radio being fixed and this, I mean, really, does it get better? Well, it does. Yesterday, I had the sweetest package in the mail from a darling, wonderful little listener, Carol. And Carol, I'm calling you out. I hope that's okay. She sent me the most lovely gift. And one of the things she sent was a couple of necklaces. Carol does mosaic work. And this is a necklace that she made. It is multimedia. Obviously, it's mosaic work along with, looks like maybe glass work. It's so pretty. Isn't this cool? So it's a heart if you're not watching in the live stream, with daisies around the edge. And it's so pretty. And honestly, I should have taken a picture to share in the chat room, but I didn't. So, Carol, if you're listening, if you want to put a picture in the chat, I would love that. Thank you very much. I absolutely love it. You are an angel. How fun. And on the topic of making things, Scott and I can't get enough of this woodcutter right now. My house basically smells like it's about to burn down kind of all the time right now. Now, do know we're using the wood laser cutter, the laser engraver. That's what I'm talking about, in front of a window, and there's great ventilation. So, we're not poisoning ourselves. We're being, correct with it. But you definitely smell the burning. It's inevitable. But I wanted to show you something that we made last week. I did put a picture of this already on my Facebook page too, but we made a crystal grid. It is so cool. It's about as big as my face. And it is a mandala, and it's designed to be able to place crystals in various places on it for really whatever purpose. So say you want to make a grid for world peace. You could absolutely lay crystals out on this. Say you wanted to make a grid for health, or for someone specific, or for uh, abundance. I mean, the possibilities are absolutely endless. So I don't have these at my Etsy store yet, but they're going to get there. So how fun is this? I just had to share because it's so exciting. So much fun. Yep. To say I'm having a blast with this stuff is an understatement. I can't quit thinking. I have constantly come up with a new plan, and poor Scott's like, okay, we'll figure out how to make this work. I have historically been the idea guy, and he's the action guy. Though I'm really trying to do as much of the wood stuff as I can myself, because that's a little unfair to expect someone else to drop what they're doing all the time for me. But he's actually pretty good at doing that. So anyway, that's what's coming. Pretty fun. I want to share, of course, what's going on over on YouTube. So Christy and I have 2 new videos since the last time we spoke. Actually, 3 new videos. Our main one is and YouTube is frozen at this moment. So, here it goes. Okay. I want to share with you. Our main one is the second video in the Dior Kuntz investigation that we are doing currently. You guys might know, I talked about it a little last week, but this is about a 2-year-old that disappeared from our area 5 years ago, that has never been found, and there has never been anyone charged or prosecuted. It is quite the deal. And after we have investigated it, it is even more quite the deal to me. I will never understand how there have not been charges in this case. But There's just not enough evidence, apparently. So I put a link there. You can find our podcast or our video cast over on YouTube at True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters, and on just about every blog casting or podcasting network as well. So you can find it either way. We also took a road trip last week and went to the site where this little guy disappeared. It's a very remote campsite about 3 hours away from us. And we drove all the way out there and explored, and we had some crazy hijinks out there. We had car trouble. We thought we found a dead person. We really had some interesting things. So, yeah, I'm not going to, spend all of our time telling you about that. You can watch the video if you want to, but this was a typical trip for us. But we did do a live when we were on that trip, so that's over there as well. And we did a live talking about Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow had a day in court last week, and one of her bails was reduced from 1 million to 150,000. Now, no worries, she still has a bail at 1 million, so she's still being held on $1.15 million bail in total in bail. She's not going anywhere, but a lot of people were very upset about that. There is a very good reason behind it. So I'm going to share that link too, in case you want to stay current on the Vallow case. She has her big day in court, and so does Chad, coming up in like 2 weeks. However, we saw today that the prosecutor has requested that there not be a video live stream of her of court, because this is of her preliminary hearing. It's like a 2-day event, basically sharing all the evidence that they have against her to decide if they can proceed to trial or whatever they'll do there, depending on how she pleads and things. But at any rate, it's possible that will happen. His reasoning is that he doesn't want video of it because it's already getting hard enough to find a jury for this case. And he's not wrong. I actually completely agree with him. And I think that maybe there shouldn't be. And yet, if there is, we'll watch. If there's not much I can do because we can't attend because of COVID. The courtroom is sealed. So I think you can still listen to it, however. So I'm sure we'll still have plenty to report on. But anyway, he's just trying to reduce the saturation with the general public. And honestly, I mean, really, I think he's correct in that. As much as I don't like it, but that's what's going on right now with the Vallow case. Nothing huge, but enough, right? Enough. That reduction in bail kind of shook people up last week. Okay, I'm just taking a quick peek here into the chat room. And then let's take a look at Luminous. All righty, so you guys know that I do have a magazine that comes out once a week. And it comes out, oh gosh, I'm going to give you guys the wrong link. Hold on, that's not going to work out. I publish it every single Tuesday. It is a compilation of work from myself and from others, mostly 1-2 family peeps. And it's just a nice body of work to help you get through your week. Luminous is something that we've been doing now my newsletter was before that, and then I moved it into the magazine form. And so we've been doing it for quite some time. And I love Luminous. I have to tell you guys, I mean, it's an absolute treat for me as the articles start rolling in and the videos and the artwork and things. It lifts me up like nobody's business. And so I really hope that it does the same for you guys. You can go see it over at katie-weaver.com and just click on the Luminous Magazine button. There's a little arrow, like arrows that go 4 directions. If you click on that, it'll give you a full screen because there's no way you can read it at the size it is on there, but you can go full screen and then you can easily read it, I hope. So I'm putting links in the chat room, but again, you can find it if you just head over to katie-weaver.com. But let's just take a look at a few things in the chat in Luminous today. So I did call this magazine The Dog Days of Summer. Why do we call it The Dog Days of Summer? Well, Kai will tell you, because in her article, Kai's kaleidoscope. That's what she talks about this week. But I thought it was perfect just for our overall theme because I think we're all feeling it. You guys have been calling me like crazy over at One Two Listen and saying, I am exhausted. I can hardly get out of my bed. What the hell is my problem? I don't know. What's the temperature where you are? I mean, could there be other reasons? Of course. Are there energetic reasons? Oh, man. Yes. We just came through that new moon in Cancer, and that it was pretty heavy and emotional and weird, as all of 2020 has been. But the heat is getting people. It's also really creating some bad moods. We, as you guys know, Walmart announced last week that they were adopting an all mask policy. And some of you guys live in places where it's required anyway, but the in my area, we're not. Masks are not required. And so it's just totally up to individual businesses. And, we could argue masks for the whole rest of the show, and we're definitely not going to do that. But, Walmart did last week say across the board from now on, masks are required in our store, which where I live, most people were not masked. I would go in Walmart masked, and most people around me were not, except for the employees. So it's a big change where we are. I also live in a place where people are feeling very, very resistant and rebellious to masks. And so, again, we don't have to debate that topic at all, but that's how it is where I live. So, when they announced that Walmart was going all masks, I noticed in a couple of public forums people getting really aggressive and pissed off and mouthy about the whole thing. And I was a little worried about the Walmart employees. And then one of our grocery stores did it, and then Walgreens did it. And I went, oh boy, here we go, and I just don't want to see people mistreated, honestly. Like, I don't. So we went to Walmart yesterday. We needed to buy some groceries and supplies and things. And of course, Mars and Scott and I, we went in masked. We brought masks because we have masks, because we've been wearing them all along. Well, there was a line of people to get in the door. And as we waited in line, people in line and a few people in front of us really bitched out the Walmart guy. And he's standing there outside in this crazy heat under an awning handing out masks. I mean, Walmart was nice enough to give them out, which they sure didn't have to do, but they did, handing out masks. So he hands this couple each a mask, and they freak out, scream at him, try to refuse to wear them. He's like, he was cool. He was really calm. He's like, well, sorry, but that's our policy. They finally snatched him out of his hand and marched in the store. Very nasty. And I thought, wow. So when we walked past, we were like, thank you. Hope you have a good day. Sorry, people suck, What do you do? Well, when we left, I walked out. I got tired. And so I went to the car early. So Scott and Mars were still paying, and I walked out. And just as I got through the crosswalk, I hear someone yell, are you freaking kidding me? And I turned around, and sure enough, another couple ripping this guy's head off about having to wear masks. And he, again, was just so cool. He's like, well, that's our policy. If you want to come in, here you go. And, eventually they too snatched the masks out of his hands and marched in the store and put them on. I will say that while we shopped, I didn't see a single person without one on. So it's going to take an adjustment. So, all the love right now goes to all of the retail workers, the restaurant workers, the first responders, the people in doctors' offices that are dealing with this stuff, because my goodness, what in the world is the point of behaving like that? So sending you guys all of our love. We know you just work there. You might not even agree with the policy, or you do. It doesn't matter. You're just doing your job. We get it. We try to get it. And we will continue to try to spread awareness and kindness and offset some of this ridiculous behavior. But wow, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. I expected to see it, but I was sad to see it because my gosh, this guy, he didn't deserve that. And he was young too. And it made me think, my kids, well, my daughter in her job, she also has to enforce masks. It's what she does. And she said last night, we were talking about this, and she said, at my job, it's a little less aggressive because their employer requires it. And, they might not like it, but and they might be, kind of snippy about it, but she's like, nobody has ever like screamed at me because, this is their job and they would get, could potentially be in trouble for acting like that. But she said, every day I worry, about people's behavior and the way they're going to talk to me. And wow, wow, we have got to be better. Really have to get to be better. Shaylin in the chat says, I get verbally assaulted daily because my job demands them to. Shaylin, I am very sorry to hear that. Let us all try to be better than that and to recognize that whether you do or don't like a policy of a store or of a government, that's not an individual's person's fault, and they certainly do not deserve your wrath. Wow. We got to do better. Yep. Karen said, I'm in customer service, and some people just want to yell. I got so discouraged today. Yep. I know. We're in a bit of a discouraging world right now. That was, in the magazine, we'll go back. The blog I wrote this week, I cleaned up an old blog, 8 surefire ways to beat a bad mood. Because I get it in some ways. I don't get mistreating people like that. I worked at the service desk at Kmart when I was in college, in high school and in college. And I was young to be at the service desk. The other ladies at the service desk were like in their 50s and 60s. And then you have like 17-year-old, 18-year-old me. And I took some treatment, man. And usually our managers were super good to back me up and, not put up with too much of it. But I'll tell you guys something. I'm 43 now. I occasionally run into people in my town that mistreated me when I worked at Kmart a million years ago, and I still don't like them. I might not remember what they said to me, right? I might not remember exactly what the issue was, but if I run into someone, there are certain people that when I run into them, I still have that, steer clear. And, I'm not actively hating them. I'm not letting it take something away from me, but they're not a person I would ever trust again. If they were introduced to me as a potential friend, I probably wouldn't be that interested. And maybe that's my issue, but maybe it's not. Maybe we all need to remember that the way we treat people, the way we speak to people, it makes a lasting mark. Anyway, or maybe I'm just a petty bitch. That could be it. That could be it. I'll own it. I'll own it. I know that might be true. Yep. Okay. Anyway, so 8 surefire ways to beat a bad mood. Awareness. What's going on inside of you? Are you worried? Are you anxious? Are you full of dread? Are you sick? What's actually happening that's triggering this bad mood? Or is it anything? Are you hot? Yeah, maybe. What is it? Are there situations around you that can make this better? Are you overstimulated? Do you need to turn down the lights or quiet the noise in your house? What can you do to just lighten your load right now? That I think is the best, the quickest triage, right? To start feeling a little better. Check in with your body. Again, are you sick? Are you in pain? Are you simply exhausted? This really applies to my chronic pain clients and listeners because not just them, but if you are in chronic pain, sometimes you don't really recognize when maybe your pain has intensified or it's in a certain spot, I noticed yesterday I was standing at the kitchen sink and I realized, wow, I'm having a lot of pain between my shoulders. A lot. And that's not, I do get pain between my shoulders, but it was much more than normal. And I went, I wonder how long this has been hurting like this. Because when you have chronic pain, you learn to ignore pain. And then suddenly you go, holy hell, why do I have this much pain? Now, honestly, for me, it was a pretty easy fix. I stretched. I needed to stretch. I was very, very tight and tense. Why? It was because of a car ride. Totally different story. But I think that a lot of times when we're feeling mean, it's because we aren't feeling good in some way. And if you can recognize what that way is and potentially do something about it, maybe you can't. Maybe you can't. But what if you could? Maybe if you just, maybe I need to get an ice pack out. Maybe I need to take a Tylenol. Maybe I need to go to the chiropractor, or maybe this is a pain that I really ought to talk to my doctor about, or whatever it is, right? But don't suffer in silence with pain, because when you do that, you learn how to ignore pain. And then you don't catch things in your body that maybe you should. But on top of that, it really affects your psyche. And who wants to live like that, right? I don't. I know you guys don't either. So check in with your body. Positive affirmations. They help or they don't. Some of you guys feel like positive affirmations are great. Some of you feel like they're not. You can read all about them here in my blog. I'm not going to go way into them, but using positive affirmations can be a good way to help shift a bad mood. I'm talking about a bad mood. I'm not talking about deep-seated grief. Maybe I am, maybe it helps, but I don't want to negate what some of you guys are going through. Maybe we're actually talking about depression or, anxiety, something that is more chronic than just you wake up in a bad mood, right? And my suggestions may or may not help you, but I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you if they don't, right? That's not necessarily the case. I know there's all kinds of levels here of bad mood or of actual, physical or mental illness that might really be affecting your life. And so if that's the case, I truly, truly hope that you can find yourself in a place where you reach out for some help. One thing I know for sure is that you do not have to suffer in silence. There is help. There is help. And if you haven't found that help, you haven't found somebody that can hear you or that can help you, keep looking. I also know that plenty of you chronic pain people or illness, people that have struggled with an illness, you may not have found the right doctor yet. If your doctor's not listening, if your doctor can't seem to help you, if your doctor is gaslighting you, get the hell out. There are plenty of healthcare providers on this planet. You don't have to stay with somebody who disrespects you and doesn't want to listen to you. I am amazed at how frequently I talk to somebody who's been with the same doctor for a long time who isn't helping them, that have serious things going on, that have been suffering for quite a while, and they're not getting any help. Guys, no. If that's the case, it's time for a second opinion or maybe a third. Don't suffer in silence. Don't. Move that body. If you can, move your body. Even if it's just walking around the yard or taking a walk around the block or around your office, or it's just dancing in the living room with your cat, or it's just doing some stretching. Moving your body raises the endorphins in your brain. It releases some of the toxins and the stress held in your body. Moving yourself makes a big difference when you're in a bad mood. Don't go kill yourself on it. You don't have to go run a 5K, but some movement is useful. Hydrotherapy. This is so easy. I've told you guys this before, but run your hands under cold water for about 60 seconds. This makes a huge difference. It's crazy what a quick difference this can make. Allow the energy that is bringing you down to just run down the sink with that water as it runs over your hands. Water also shocks you back into your body. So if you're ungrounded and foggy and feeling weird, back you go. It makes a big, big difference. Take a break with a good book or a magazine. Sometimes you just need to escape. You need to go somewhere else for a while. You need to forget about what's bothering you. I am all about happy distractions. I think sometimes that's the best thing you can do for yourself. Sniff essential oils. We know aromatherapy helps for most people. If it doesn't help you, that's fine. But a lot of people do really benefit. Bergamot, peppermint, rosemary, sandalwood. Those are all really good ways to shift. Grapefruit, lavender, orange, lang lang, chamomile, rose, or anything else that you love that makes you feel good, or a blend that helps lift you up. Put it in your diffuser. Put it on your body if it's safe. Sniff it out of the bottle. Easy, quick shifts can happen with aromatherapy. And throw yourself into service. Sometimes when you're just feeling grouchy and shitty, one of the best things you can do is do something for somebody else. That is an amazingly fast and powerful way to shift yourself out of a storm cloud and into a happier place. So consider. Maybe it's so simple. Maybe it's just paying for the coffee of the person behind you in line. Maybe it's just doing something, that easy. Maybe it's just pulling over and picking up some trash. Maybe it's going to the shelter and walking some dogs. I mean, I could spend the whole rest of the show listing off, opportunities. Maybe it's baking cookies for a neighbor. Who knows? Maybe it's stopping at a lemonade stand and giving them $20, What do you want to do? Just do something. I promise it will make you feel better. So, those are my 8 suggestions for busting out of a bad mood. Of course, Kai's article this week is about the dog days of summer. So, she'll tell you all about why and maybe a little idea about how to stay cool. The tip this week is about growing mint. I had to include it because you guys cannot believe the overrun of mint we have right now. Mint spreads. Mint goes crazy, and our mint is going nuts. This has been Scott's goal forever. He loves it. He actually wanted to throw mint seeds out in our yard so that when he mowed the lawn, it would smell amazing. Not a terrible idea. I don't think he's ever done it, but you would have to buy mint seeds in bulk. Then we worried that maybe the mint would take over the grass and maybe we'd have a mess. And who knows? It's whatever. We kind of let our stuff be pretty wild anyway. But mint. So physically, it's excellent for stomach aches, indigestion, and freshening breath. So you can chew on a mint leaf. You can make mint tea. A lot of people rely on mint tea, right, for tummy aches. Magically, mint is pretty cool. It's used for money, for healing, for strength, luck, and travel. A lot of people will take a mint leaf and press it and put it in their wallet amidst their money or their credit cards or debit cards to help to protect and grow their finances. So definitely grow some mint in your house. That also helps to attract financial prosperity. Who doesn't need that, right? So I love it. So that's growing mint on the inside or outside of your home, of course. All righty. The Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle card this week from Christy is the ACT card. Take action, physical movement, make a choice, create change, right? Create a little service. These are all ways to help shift your energy this week. The crystal associated is banded agate. The meditation is, I trust my choices and move forward with my plan. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is inaction. Apathy, sitting in one place, refusing to make a decision. That's tough. It is. It makes life harder sometimes. And sometimes down the road, it makes it much harder, especially if you are procrastinating a decision that needs to be made. I hear this from clients quite a bit. They have been afraid to make a decision. They've been afraid to move forward, or they've been afraid of a situation. And now they've put it off so long that the ramifications are much worse than they would have been. Perhaps it's paying a bill, or, it's dealing with a legal situation or something like that. Take action, even if it's scary, even if you don't know what to do, even if you don't know what the outcome's going to be. Take action. You, I promise, will feel better. Yeah. Funny how that works. All right. Well, there's so much more in Luminous. I'm not going to cover all of it, but there are quite a few other articles. So make sure that you check them out, of course. And if bitch scopes are here, tarot scopes are here, all kinds of good stuff. So make sure that you come and check it out. And as always, if you see something in Luminous you love, let us know. Or if there's something in Luminous you would like to see, let us know. And I just saw Kelly McLean's face in the magazine, which reminded me of one of my most important announcements today. So this scattered girl, thanks for having your face in Luminous, Cal. I might have forgotten. Kelly and I have a brand new show. We do. That's what I needed. One more show here at 1-2 Radio. You guys are going to get so sick of me, and I'm sorry. But Thursdays have a whole new face. So, of course, we start out the day at 8 a.m. Pacific with Breakfast with Erica. Starting this week at 9 a.m. Pacific, Mark's show is moving to Thursdays. So it's the Mark Husson Show. Same format. Call in, get an astrological reading from Mark. You guys know what a huge treat that is, an honor. It's very exciting. Well, after Mark's show is Strange Phenomena and Mysteries on the first and third Thursdays of the month. Well, in the in-betweens, there wasn't a show. And so Kelly and I got to talking, and we thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a readings show on the second and fourth weeks of the month? And so we went, well, why not? So here we go. We're starting this week. So it's called Read Me with Katie and Kelly. We're going to quiz each other a little this week about our psychic gifts, where they came from, you know, how they started, all of that kind of weird stuff. And, it's me and Kelly. So, we're going to laugh a lot and have fun, but we're also going to read. We're going to keep the phone lines open, which is so weird because, I don't keep the phone lines open on this show, and Kelly doesn't on her show. So this is different for us, but we are going to keep the phone lines open. We'll read from the chat room, and we'll also take a few callers. So excited. So, Kelly, I'm so excited that you're joining me for that show. We are going to have a blast. Yep. All righty. Well, now you know. I'm glad I remembered. Wow. What a thing to forget. All right. I'm just peeking at the chat rooms here. I'm keeping an eye on both of them, of course. Okay. Yeah. Sheila said, I was very overwhelmed today, wanted to cry and felt anxious. I called my cousin and had a good conversation and a good laugh. I feel much better now. Makes all the difference, doesn't it? It really does. I'm amazed sometimes when people call me at One to Listen, how we'll end up in some kind of a conversation that we're both laughing our heads off. And I'll come out of my office and my husband will say, I thought you were talking to a client. I was. Oh, well, I sure heard a lot of laughter in there. Well, yeah. Just because I'm talking to a client doesn't mean we can't have fun. I know. Of course, we don't want to be irreverent, and we certainly don't want to, diminish anybody's struggles. But sometimes you guys kill me. We have the most hilarious conversations I have ever had. So keep it up. I think we all need it. All righty. What I actually wanted to talk about today was divination. You guys know I'm such a hound. I love divination in all forms. And I've been thinking about, this all has to go back to that stupid laser cutter. But I've been thinking about what I could be making. I could be making staves. I could be making runes. I could be making witches' runes. I could make something of my own. I probably will. We'll see where it goes. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk about divination a little bit. Divination has existed on the planet for about just as long as we have, right? Why? Because we're always seeking answers. We've always been seeking answers. We might do it a little differently now than they did then, but it's still something that has been happening for a really long time. So I wanted to tell you about a few forms of those. I also, before I say that, just want to tell you nobody has to give you permission to use divination tools. You could use something, you could just, buy something and learn something new, like a pendulum or some cards or scrying or whatever. You could also develop something on your own, you know? I used to teach a class in which every student would develop 25 of their own runes. Their own runes. You would draw it, you would define it, you would write a description for it, and then we would make them out of clay. And then the students would have to take them home and bake them, and then they could paint them or do whatever they wanted with them. And then we'd come back together and we'd use them and practice with them. You could come up with your own spreads. I would give you some ideas, but you could come up with your own spreads, your own designs, your own layouts. So much fun. So much fun. And yeah, I know. Maybe we could do that at One Two Academy, really. We could. We could do it at One Two Academy, and perhaps I could send you something like a kit to make them, or maybe you come up totally with your idea of how to do it, Anyway, I don't know. The possibilities are endless. But as I tell you about all these different kinds of divination, I would love for you to let your own wheels turn about making up your own. What questions or answers would you want to include in your own divination, whether it was cards or it was runes or it was, dropping chocolate into ice water. Yeah, seriously. Dripping melted chocolate into very cold water is a form of divination. It could be. Hear me out. You're dripping your molten chocolate into ice water, very cold water, slowly, and letting it make a shape, right? You can also do this with like a cooked candy like taffy or something like that. And you're asking your question. So as it's dripping in, you're asking your question. So maybe the question is, what do I need to know about this situation? And then you would take the shape, whatever the shape it formed, and you would lay it out and you would interpret what that is. Does it look like an iceberg? Do I feel like I'm sinking? Does it look like a ship? Do I need to float away from this? You get the gist, right? But yes, play and have fun. Yeah, and Belle says, and then you get to eat it, right? I mean, that is definitely the upside. Belle also said that she loves doing tea readings. Belle, I don't know why I'm so insistent on calling you Belle. Her name is Brooke, but I call her Belle. So I'm sorry. I don't know why. I've always done it. She said, she's doing leaf readings. Yeah. She said, my Nana gave me a notebook she kept when she was a tea leaf reader in her 30s and 40s. Oh, how cool is that? I love that. My mom read tea leaves too and absolutely loved it. And I love it. Tea leaf reading is so fun. We could do some divination classes over at 1-2 Academy if you guys are interested. That is fun stuff. Okay, so with all that being said, let's take a look at some divination methods that you may or may not want to try. The first one does not interest me at all. Hieromancy, divination using entrails. That's right. Yep. This idea, we think, began in Mesopotamia. Animals were sacrificed in divinatory rituals, and then their internal organs, most notably the liver, was used for divination. They would inspect it for omens. For example, if the liver was healthy and fully intact, that would be a good omen of what was to come. If the liver was unhealthy or was missing a lobe or had some kind of problem, that could be an idea of something, bad coming, right? The heart as well. If there's defects in the heart, that could be a bad idea. It could mean that something bad is coming. If the heart is healthy, it could also be the idea that something good is coming. So, for example, perhaps, a place is getting ready to go to war and they do divination to decide if they should or what's coming to help them know how to prepare or what to do moving forward and so on and so forth. So, anyway, ew, probably not doing that. There's no probably. Definitely not doing that. But that was an early form of divination. Okay. Ornithomancy. This is divination using birds, not sacrificing birds, but the study of what birds are up to. This is also one of the oldest forms of divination. It's from Greece. And this was using them in divination for lots of things before a marriage or a business transaction, or again, a war, the purchase of food, the purchase of a home, whatever, looking at the behavior of the birds. Is there a crow in a tree that will not quit shouting at you? Do you have birds in strange places? There's even a study of listening to the sounds the birds are making and deciding if there's a message in that. So, pretty interesting. That really interests me because birds have been, especially like crows and ravens, have been a huge part of my life for a long time. So, this is something that, I could probably get my head around a whole lot more than the entrails for sure. I'd have to pay more attention, that's for sure. This year, we have ended up, now that we're talking about it, with all of these ravens and magpies in my yard. And we haven't had them so much in the past. And so Scott doesn't like magpies because he used to fight with them because they would kill the baby doves. Yeah, that's bad. I know. But I really like magpies. Not for that behavior, leave the doves alone for God's sake. But they are so friendly and interesting. And so over the winter, I have a ritual with the piggies in the morning. I feed them breakfast and then I take them outside to potty out back. And in the winter, when they don't really want to go back, I go out and throw a little dog food out because then they'll go out back and hang out for a few minutes. And that's our ritual because right after breakfast is certainly the time one would need a snack, right? Yeah, I know. Ridiculous and so spoiled, but that's our ritual. Well, I discovered that there was a magpie that was hanging out there and trying to get a hold of a piece of dog food or two when I was throwing it out. Well, I was making friends, so I started putting a few pieces of dog food on top of the grill, the barbecue grill. so that, she could get what she needed. And it was winter and it was cold. And I figured she needed food. Well, pretty soon, every day she would come. And some mornings when I'd walk out with them, she was already sitting on the grill waiting for me or in the yard, sitting not too far away, talking to me or talking at me, probably like, what the hell, hurry up, lady. So, after a few weeks of this, and I'm talking to this bird every day and giving her treats, and then Scott's like, "What are you doing? Don't do that again. We do not want magpies around here." And I'm like, "We don't?" He's like, "I hate magpies." And I said, "But they like me. And so I don't know what to tell you." So, I didn't stop because, how could I cut her off now, guys? Right? Anyway, what we ended up with is a bunch of magpies nesting in our trees in the backyard and ravens in the front yard. And just about every morning, they have some kind of a I don't know, gang rivalry situation going on, yelling at each other from the backyard to the front yard. So my name is most especially Mud now because the ravens are here because of me in the front yard. And now the magpies are here because of me in the backyard. And there's some turf wars going on and they scream and yell at each other until you can't sleep. So it's fine. It's probably fine. I like them all. So there you go. I don't know what it all means. I'll have to, work out some ornithomancy around it. I don't know, but I know I have birds around a lot. Now, the next one I think is really interesting. This is pyrosteomancy, bone oracles. We've all heard of bone oracles in one way or another. It makes me think of the books, the Eldest series, the Aragon books that Angela, the mystic, would throw her dragon knuckle bones, and that's how she would divine. I always thought that was really, really interesting. Anyway, so this is from China. This is super old stuff, Neolithic, the Neolithic period. They would take the shoulder blades from oxen and they would engrave symbols on them. And the symbols essentially were a question. So they would engrave symbols on the bone that was their question. And then they would drill little holes and stick really hot sticks or I don't know what, hot poles into the points. And then the bone would crack around the point, and they would look at the picture, the question that they had drawn on the bone, and how the crack formed, and the places that the crack went to answer their question. Isn't that wild? So this is a fairly new discovery, actually. Some of these bones were found not too long ago and are at the Pitt Rivers Museum, Oxford. Isn't that interesting? So that's how it went. So, think about that like in a more modern way that you could take, well, I don't know, probably a bone, but they weren't, it doesn't seem that they were like slaughtering animals just to do this. Like they were using bone, right? So maybe this was bone that they were gathering, you know, posthumously, or Scott just spoke to me in my ear and scared me half to death posthumously. But yeah, you could take like a chicken bone or something like that or whatever and try the same thing. It's interesting. I think that's super interesting. So anyway, all right. Bibliomancy, divination using books. This is something that's been done for a long time. You ask a question, you flip a book open, and wherever the page lands, you read through the messages or the story on that page to divine an answer to your question. I've done that before. I'll tell you whose book is super good for that, and it's Kathleen Peterson. Did you guys know Kathleen Peterson has a book? She doesn't talk about it all that much, but she has a really wonderful book. And I actually sold my last copy to a customer before we sold Healing Hands, and I need to order another one from her because her book is awesome. But that's what I was teaching my customers to do with her book because it's just full of fantastic messages. Melissa Caprio's book is really good for that too. Just flip it open while you're asking your question and then read through that page looking for the answer. You could do that with a lot of books. I know some people do that with like with holy texts and things like that as well. Okay. Electromancy. This is divination using chickens. So, Scott, you were right on. You're more psychic than you thought. They were using them to predict the future Okay. So how this was happening in Rome. So a circle would be drawn and divided up into segments, with each segment corresponding to a certain letter. And then a grain of wheat was placed in each segment. And then they'd do some incantations and some blessings. Then they would turn this chicken loose, and the chicken pecked the grains corresponding to the letters that, or what, however the chicken pecked the grains, they'd write those letters down, and then they would take the word that it spelled to divine the message. So if you have chickens, you could certainly try this and see what they do. So this is actually how a leader was chosen in Rome at one point. There were more than one person that thought that they had the authority of the leadership for whatever reason, probably family, affiliation. And so they put the chicken down, and the chicken spelled out one of the person's names, Theodotus. He was a local official, and he was ambitious, and he became the leader. Not too long ago, though, or too long after, not long ago. This is a long time ago. Um, Valens found out about the episode and had everyone killed. We don't know why. And we're not sure if the chicken lived through it, but we hope so. He'd be dead now, though. Let's be clear. Anyway, using chicken. I think that's pretty interesting. That's pretty fun. And then the last one before we go is tyromancy, divination using cheese. That's right, using cheese. I can get my head around this one for sure. This was actually looking at the shapes of holes in cheese to hold meaning. So various like Swiss styles of cheese, slicing a piece of cheese as you were asking your question, and then looking at, or a chunk of cheese or whatever, and then looking at the holes in it to help divine your message. How did that work? Not entirely sure, but I could definitely get my head around using cheese to figure something out. That's no problem. I do that every day. Not really, but I could, maybe. And then, of course, using melted wax poured into cold water. Like I said, you can do that with chocolate as well. They also, in some countries, did that with iron or with ore that was melted, with putting it, or with lead, sorry, melted lead, pouring into cold water and forming a shape. So those are some. There's a lot more, actually, a lot more. But those are some of the more interesting ones that I found and that I've known about in the past as well. And then, of course, there's the ones we know about, including tea and coffee leaf or ground reading, and reading cards, and using pendulums, and using the I Ching, which is very fun and interesting all in itself, and so many others. So, have I got your wheels turning yet? Maybe try something. Oh, divining rods, Pamela says. Yeah, definitely. A lot of people like divining rods. There's whole groups of people that divine with water, water witching or oil witching. That's been a profession for many, many, many years. So I hope I have your wheels turning a little bit about divination in general, and about maybe something that you could do on your own for yourself, just for fun. So that's what I've got today. Don't forget, I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. I am there every day doing readings and energy work, mediumship, animal communication. I can help. Whatever you're working on, let's talk about it. So you can find me over there at one2listen.com. And of course, you'll find me back right here on this page. All kinds of stuff going on all the time. Please come and see me and Kelly on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific for our maiden voyage into Read Me with Katie and Kelly. You guys have been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.